Hello, friends and family. This is me, Migrant the Trader, coming at you with a very special edition today. I have a question to pose right out the top. Is it over for Shiba? Take a look at Shiba Dog here. Not looking so great, but there's a question on the table. Is Shiba over? Look at this chart. This is the activity for Shiba. Oh my goodness. Let's get into this message today. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, right off the bat, we're going to take a look at the chart. This is a 1 hour chart for Shiba, the cryptocurrency. Have this hype all over the internet. People having visions and dreams and prophecies and everything's going on with Shiba today. And I just decided, since I am a foreign exchange trader, I don't really trade cryptocurrencies, even though I can, but the foreign exchange market is very liquid and there's a lot of activity going in there every day that I don't really need to go to many other places to find loads of profit. But today, there's so much talk, I decided, let me pull up a chart and at least take a technical look at the price action of this Shiba currency, cryptocurrency that everybody's talking about. And what would you believe is what I found is right here in front of you. What you see here is part of October. To the far left of the screen, as you can see, is October 24th. And to the far extreme of this chart right here, this is a live chart. You can see the clock is ticking down. And here's your current price of Shiba. For the case of this video, I am not going to call the price with all of these decimals. Just know right now there are 4 zeros in front of the first significant digit in the price of Shiba. Shiba is not even a half of a cent. It is very, 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 very low right now. So, hey, let's see what's going on here. But anyway, you get to see the price currently, 1097. So 1097 is the price of Shiba as we speak right now. Let's go to the far left of our screen. We said that was October 24th. Well, at October 24th, Shiba, look at this. In October 24th, not even a month ago, Shiba was down at $993. Now, this is probably the big noise in the market today because last month at October the 24th, at 4 o'clock, Shiba was kicking up daisies down here at a price of 985, whatever this you want to call this. Okay? The price was $985. Well, after a little bit of dragging its tail down on this area, and October the 25th, the next day, the price came out of the cellar and started flying to the sky. And this is what people were talking about. Let's take a look. At this point, I'm gonna need to bring a calculator in on the picture. So give me a moment and get a calculator up and running so we can take some really good information. There's a calculator right there. Let's go. In this calculation, let's try to figure out how much money could have been made for those who knew that Shiba was going to jump out of the cellar and start flying to the sky. Let's take a look. At this point, Shiba, if you look at the far left hand over here, this will give you the price. As I move my mouse, it shows you the price. So at this point, Shiba was dragging down on this blue line here at 985. So let's put that in. 985 is where Shiba was. All right. Now, when Shiba started to make its move upwards, because it was basically at the bottom of the barrel, just dragging along the bottom of the barrel. How much further can you go if you're already at the bottom? So this is the big news in the market. So people are looking at this currency. The price is so low, it's already at the bottom. People are saying, where else can it go but up from here? So let's take a look at this. At this price, 988, 985 we put in, 985, and it hit one move. Right in this first move, you see these candles. It hit, moved up, up, up until it stopped, and then the red candles took over for a moment. But at that point, it moved up to 1039. Let's take a look at this. 1039 from our 985. 1039. There was a change of 54 units that it moved up. We divide those 54 units by the starting price that we said was $9.85, we would see that that was a nice little 5.5% move up. That first move was 5.5% from here to there, 5.5%. But guess what? That was just getting started. From that point on, we're going to continue to use 985 as our starting point because that's where the movement started, right at the bottom. So we're going to take, now when it came up and it went back down to 1015 and then it shot back up all the way over here to 1187. Let's put that in our calculator. 1187 minus our 985. I'm going to put that in memory, 985. That means we saw at that point a movement of 202 units to the upside. Let's divide that by our starting point of 985. And now we're looking at a 20.5% move. 20.5%. It moved up 202. Now make sure 985 minus this right here was 1185. That's 200. 202 divided by 985 was a 20.5% move from the bottom to the top here. But look what it did. It fell back. It fell back. Down to this point right here. And then from here, 1030, it jumped up again. So if you were in this market, now this last bar that you see here, this green bar here, this is what we call an exhaust pattern. This is at the very end of a wave of price movement. You get these long bars. What that is a lot of people taking profit, but also a lot of the inexperienced traders are seeing that the price is really moving, and so they bite on the worm, they get in, they buy it, just to see the price turn around and fall down. And when that happens, what do you think they do? They run to the boat and jump off the edge. They run and jump. And this is what you see happening. All these people who got in from this point onward started losing money soon as this thing started going down below here. And that spurred up an additional push downward before it caught traction and people was thinking at this point there's value in the market. So people started to buy in, but there was too much fear. This could have been the last vestige of those who were holding on before the bottom fell out, and it fell back down here. Well, at this point, there still was a lot of people saying, wait a minute now, this market still has a lot of movement. We believe in the Shiba dog. We believe this thing going to hit us and make us money. And guess what? At this point, they didn't know what it was about to do. So let's take a look at this. From 1039, the market moved all the way up to a price of 1517. So let's take a look at the overall price. 1517 minus the 985, which is the bottom part. So we looked at a total of 532 points from the bottom down here all the way to the top of this move. This was the move in October. This is what got a lot of people excited. So if you take that move right there, divide it by its starting price, we would see that that was a total of 54% return on your investment. And when did that happen? It started here on October 25th and it ended over here on October 29th. 4 days, so that's an average of over 11% per day over a 4-day period. Return on investment. That's what's getting a lot of people excited. So if you had $1,000 in here, you just got a nice $540. It's kind of nice in 4 days. And depends on how much you put in. It's going to determine how much you get out. But the return on investment from this move was 54%. So now let's take a look at this. The move went over. All right, it blew over, and so now let's see what the market is doing, because the rest of this chart is really a tale of woe. But there's still a lot of people talking hype into this market on this Shiba dog coin. So let's see. Now, when I heard all of it, I decided, let me pull up the chart so I can know for myself. I don't want to hear everybody's hype. I'm a trader. Price action will always tell you more than people's mouth. You see, because people really talk with their dollars and they say all kinds of other things with their mouth. So I don't listen too much that people have a vision, they have a dream, they have a prophecy, they have, a hot news. That's all great. And we hope that it works. But I tend to go to the chart and see what is it all about? What's the noise all about? And what did I find? Oh my goodness. We have a dying dog and everybody is pretending like the dog is going to rise like the phoenix from the ashes and shoot to the heavens. We all hope that because that would be another big hit. Because remember, price is pushing down to where it was in October. You see, all of this great gain started falling away. So all of November is just a tale of the price trying to catch traction, but just not catching traction until today it fell through. Now, let me explain a little bit what you see on this chart here. As a technical analyst, one of the tools that I use is tried and true. It's called a trend line, which acts as a support or a resistance line, and I use support and resistance lines. This allows me to look at past activity and project to the future what price has a potential to do when price reaches those points again. Let's take a look at what this all means. Remember back over here, let's take you back to where we started off, back over here in October the 24th. You see that blue line? Do you see how prices was just going, and at one point prices just hit this blue line and just basically just kept going down like it was resting on that. It jumped up a little bit and it went back down. This blue line is acting like the floor. Support. It supported price and price could not fall below it. So what happens if the price cannot fall below the support? Then it has to rise. Now when it rises, then that's what people get excited. So let me draw one more trend line. From this initial rise, we can draw the trend line. Now what we do when we draw trend lines, in this case we're going to draw an upward trend. What you want to do is find two or more points and draw that line on the bottom, the lowest points on the bottom of the chart, of the candlesticks, and connect those points and draw and extend your line as I'm doing here. As long as you have two significant points, and these significant points are what we call troughs, points where the price came down, hit, and bounced. That's because the market remembers. So it's going to respect that price somewhere in the future. So at this point, we did that. We connected from this point and we connected with this point here and just extended it all the way forward into time. Now, if we were at this point right here, none of this other stuff do you know. And so here's how we use this as a projection. Now, let's take a look here. As the price jumped off the floor and started rising, it rose and it fell. And it did, and it approached the line, but stayed far, but it ran into another support, and it bounced off of that and went up, and it came back down, and it touched this place right here. And this is what we're using to connect these 2 points. And from this point on, we're trying to see what will the price do when it reaches this trend line. This is an upward trend line. And see, what we want to see is price staying above the trend line. We don't mind it coming down to it, resting on it momentarily, and bouncing off of it, because that gives us confidence to know that we can continue to stay in the trade, making more and more profits as price respects this trend line and bounces off of it. Well, when the price breaks below the trend line, it's an upward trend. If it breaks below, then we're looking at a potential trend reversal, which means hold the phone, take your money out of the market, run to the sidelines if you're long. If you bought that currency, stop where you are, take profits, because we don't know from this point forward how long it is going to be before price turns around and goes back upward. It broke through the trend line. The trend is your friend until it ends. When it ends with a break, you have to start reevaluating what your objective is in the market, especially if you're long and the price dropped below that uptrend line. Okay, so what we see is it broke above, it went up, came down, it hit, it bounced a little bit and broke through there. That was a trend reversal, but a short-term trend reversal. And if we look at the pattern, this low price did not fall below this low price. So for all intents and purposes, we are still in a long-term upward trend. It's a longer term upward trend because as long as it does not take out the previous significant low, then the trend is still in the uptrend and you can expect it to go higher. So if you're diehard and you didn't take profit up here and you start seeing it fall, well, as long as it didn't fall back down below this line here, you still have a chance that price will continue to go higher. And so it did. And look at this. It hit this line right here, which is a trend line that we created. And we created the trend line because of this. So in the future, we can see what's going on. So it hit this. Now this line here hit and just kept going out into the future way out there. But these steep lines are the ones we pay close attention to if you're trading in a short time frame, because this is where the price is immediately happening. Otherwise, if you're a longer term trader, then a trend that looks like this would be more likely what you'd be following. All of this activity here, you would ignore that and just look at the longer term trend. As long as time is going on, it's making gradual increases. That's what a longer term trader is looking at. But anyway, let's take a look. At this point, price hit, bounced, and came back above, hit this trend line. If you see that it hit that trend line, let's make it larger so you can see what's actually happened here. Okay, price came down, then it came back up, came down. Then from here it went up, hit the trend line, and that red bar right there in the middle of all these green bars, there's a red bar. Why does that show up? Well, for that hour, price went as high as the trend line and fell down. It didn't fall down substantially, so traders who know what's going on, they will look at this and would add more to their trade because they see that this is still an uptrend. And look what happened. The very next hour, price broke through the uptrend line, reestablishing the upward trend, and the price kept going until it reached all the way up to the high where it finally hit. Got a lot of these red bars in here. These red bars were green until the price fell below the point where it opened up. And then it showed that the market truly hit a trend reversal and it came back down. Now, as it came down, you know, all of this profit, if people were still in the market and didn't close out and take their profit, they start seeing the eroding of their profits right there. They got a little confidence when it bounced and came back up. But here's what you need to know, traders and viewers. When price shoots up this high, falls down and makes another run upward, but falls short of this previous high, batten down the hatches, it looks like we have a potential trend reversal. Prices could not come back up, test this high, and break it, and therefore, look what happened. It gave us a nice little pattern that we see in using the Forex market. It's a reversal pattern. In this case, it's an inside day pattern. And basically, we can see that it went up, the next candlestick hit, it opened at that point, and it fell down and could not go above that point, but it was engulfed. It is a bearish engulfing candle pattern. And so the very next candlestick is where the real action happens. Because when you see this type of a pattern, right here at the bottom of this red candle is where you would enter the market if you're selling. if you are actually looking to get into a short trade. And we can do that in the Forex market, where you can sell at this price and cash out later, and the difference between the price you sold it at and the price you closed it at will represent profit. So we can make money in the Forex market as the price falls, as well as when the price rises. So I don't know too much about this cryptocurrency market. I'm assuming, I know you can, because I can trade this chart the same way I trade foreign exchange. So I don't have a problem no matter which way the market is going. I can look at opportunities to get into the market and make money. So at this point, I could have gotten in right here at 1337, and it went down here to 1220, and that would have given me 1337 minus 1220, a nice little profit, 117 points. Divide that by 1337, 1337, and that would have given me a nice little 8.7, 8.8%. Just that little move right there. You see? That little move, as we saw it fall from here, this point down to this point right here, that right there is one day, over 2 hours. This is 1 hour here in the second candlestick, and during that hour it hit down. So over 2 hours you would have gotten yourself a nice little return on investment, 8.5%. So you can see there's a lot of profit in this market if you know what you're doing. But in this case, this is going against the hype. The market is falling. Shiba is retreating, dying, falling, fainting. Okay? So it fell all the way down to this trend line that we saw. It broke through this trend line and it kept going until it got to this point and it bounced. And from that point, you can see this choppy action, but it's always going slightly higher all the while. As you can see, it is respecting this upward trend, is walking the trend like it's walking upstairs. Okay? You got to have these lines, otherwise you might not see this as clearly and be confused what to do. This is an upward trend line, and it's going through a channel. It's hitting this top, bouncing back, coming back up, hitting it, bouncing back, coming back up, hitting it, bouncing back, coming back up, broke it, came back down to visit it, and start coming back, walking back in it. Then from this point here, it opened up a slightly larger channel. See, like this opened up a slightly larger channel where the prices start hitting this and falling, hitting this, falling. It fell, came back down to here, bounced up a little bit and fell through there, came back up and fell. It could not sustain it, and it broke through the trend line again. This uptrend activity was over. And what happened from this point down, you can see we start looking at a downtrend, which means we're going to connect the highest point on the candlestick and connect two of those and draw and extend the line. And that's what we're basically looking at here. So you connect two of these points, this red point. If you want to do the green line, which is up here, you can do that one. And you can start, if you wanted to go like this, from the, let's see. If you want to go from the green to this, to these lines here, you could see another activity that happens sometimes with these trend lines. It going down, breaks above it, and continues to go down, but bounces off the top of it as it falls. So when you see that, we want to draw another trend line to connect the tops of these candles so we can see where the actual trend is. So in the future, we know how to work with these prices as it starts hitting these trend lines. So how do you work with these prices as you start hitting the trend lines, you might ask? Good question. Here's how. If you're in the market trading these things, you need to know how to recognize signals. And if you're only using what we have here, these lines, which is all you really need, support, resistance, up and down trends. That's all you really need if you just want to get right to it. Okay? All right, so at this point, The trend broke down and it started a downward trend. So we connected the top of these candles and we drew our line, and then we watched price action. At this point, we had this steep trend going downward. But then we have, it's not as steep trend, but still a downward trend. Both of these are downward trend lines. This downtrend immediately stopped, broke above it, which looked like it temporarily changed the trend, but it didn't go too far. It didn't go too far. So it created some points that we connected from the top point and started going down. And so now it's creating an expanding pennant going down. So this pattern, it goes over, touched the trend line. It acts as resistance, meaning it's resisting the advancing or the rising of the price, and is causing it to be a ceiling in which prices can't break through it at the time. So if it can't break through, it's going to fall back down. Fall back down to the floor, which is the downward trend line, bounces off of that a little bit, comes back down, hits that, dribbles over a little bit, rises back up, hits this trend line, falls back down midway, and then catches a little bit of steam. Why did it catch steam? Because right here, if we take this right here, this line right here, and extended it over to the bottom of these lines right here, what we will see is that there was a support that was holding these, the bottom of these candles and the bottom of these candles. We make and connect this line and extend it, and you see what happened. In the future, the price fell down here and got caught by this support line before it can go to this trend line, and that was enough to contain the price, and so it bounced back up to this downtrend line, dribbled it down, tried it again, couldn't break it, fell down, rose again, but all the while it's going lower and lower. So you can see the trend is down, and so this is what you see happen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this what we're looking at right now is November. We're in the midst of huge hype. People are seeing dreams and visions and all kinds of things about the Shiba dog is going to rise up in the next couple days. Let's see what they're seeing. For November, what I can show you right here is the opportunity for November so far. Right here, when price finally was able to break above the trend line, do you see what it did in 1 hour? 1 hour. The price rose from 1184 all the way up to about 1368. You know I got to bring the calculator back in. 1368 minus 1164, no, 1184. Oh, 1368 minus 1164. How many points was that? 204 points. If you divide it by your original point, 1368, how much would we have gotten in this hour? Almost 15% return on your investment in 1 hour. That, ladies and gentlemen, was the big move for November. Because let's take a look at what Shiba Dog has done ever since that big move. Since this move, this was the pinnacle of the mountain. A rising trend reached its peak. And every mountain has a peak. And over on the other side of the peak, it starts going back down. And that's where we see it. November has hit a peak. And now it is sliding down. Sliding down. Over here, we can draw support lines right in here. We can draw support lines because that's what we're seeing. Price got held up right in this region right here. So the bottom of these prices, significant prices, are falling, is finding its way right in this area right here. This is what caused this price to sort of go sideways right here. There's a support right in here. Many prices hit that and stayed, bounced up either above it or bounced below it, but had a hard time breaking through it. It broke through a couple of times, but by and large, a lot of these prices on these hours was finding this as either support or resistance. It was resistance until it was broken, and then when it was broken, price came back down and found that the hole in the ceiling was patched up. Now that you're on the second floor, this is a floor active as support until over here in November the 7th, Monday, the price fell through the roof. It fell through support, second floor support, and it came down here, and look what it hit. It hit that longer term trend line until it ran out of steam, because the downtrend, this part right here, it was still in a downtrend. We could have drawn a resistance line, a temporary resistance line right here. You can see how prices could not go above this ceiling right here. So price got contained, and then it went sideways until it hit this area here, and then it fell down, fell to the trend line, and it was running into an area of confluence. A decision had to be made because the downtrend line was containing the price. This uptrend line here was containing the price until the price finally decided it's going to break to the lower side. Because look, for most of November, that's where we were going, down. And so no surprise here. So there's a lot of hype that the Shiba dog is going to rise, but look what it did today. November the 8th is where we are right now, and all of this activity from these red candles over. You can see on the bottom, you can see this is telling me we're in November the 8th, which is Tuesday today as I'm recording this, and today has been a blood bath. Amidst all of the big hype last week about Shiba rising, people started loading the wagons, expecting the price to go up. And look what happened, my friends. Despite all the hype, the market found no opportunity to rise above where it was. It fell below this long-term trend line to reestablish the current downtrend. Did you hear what I said? November is a downtrending market for the Shiba dog so far. Today was a bloodbath. It fell all the way down. And ladies and gentlemen, this is getting scary. But the fear for one is the confidence for the other. It depends on how you look at it. Let's see how we can look at this. First, let's try to figure out what happened here. We saw trend lines, this upward trend line broken. This support line broken. When you see multiple trend lines and support lines being broken, you better pay attention, because that is the sign that the market is showing you it has steam going in that direction. If it has enough steam and energy to break through these support and trend lines like this, you better go with it. Don't go against it, because it's going to ride you for a little bit, and it's going to be a hairy ride. So look what had happened today. Everybody's coming in, they're thinking Monday's going to be the big day, that Shiba's going to start breaking out. People are anticipating a big move, but there is a movement in the opposite direction. Now, this is what I want you to know. When you spend your time just listening to people and just blindly follow what people are saying, sometimes, and more times than not, unless you have a good source, more times than not, you must be aware, because in this market, many people are false reporters. They tell you the opposite of what's really getting ready to happen, to force you into a position where they can take and exploit you. If everybody thought that the market is going up, and then all of a sudden the market is going down, guess what happens? There's a lot of people who bought that, sitting on it, looking for it to go up. And when they see it turn around and fall down like this, there is fear in the markets today, ladies and gentlemen. Fear, because people who thought the market was going to go up, when they saw this break of these trend lines, they started to the edge and they jumped off. There's a lot of people leaving the market today, and you see down here in my these lines right here, these volume. You see this big red spike right here. You know what that tells you? That tells you there's a lot of people in the market getting out of this coin. That's quite the opposite of what the hype was. They're getting out, and the price is tumbling, tumbling, tumbling until it fell down and hit this VWAP, which is this volume, profile, a key point in volume profile from a long-term view over 2 months. It says this is a key price. It is like the swing price in the market right now in these 2 months. It is the one price that has been primarily hit the most over the last time frame that you're charting this out. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to really shrink my chart in a bit here now if I can. Now let's see here. Let's go. All right, the chart is being restricted. All right, now it's not going to show me what I need to see. So this VWAP is this is based on a longer term pattern. So let's see if we can get to that longer term pattern. Let's go over into the day chart. Let's look at Shiba Dog from a daily perspective. From a daily perspective, let me make this chart smaller so we can see. You see, when you start stretching this thing out, you start seeing a whole lot more than what you, like when we're, see, down in this area right here, you get bogged down by what's in front of you. It's like you can't see the forest for the trees, okay? So you see this green line? This green line is sort of cutting through. It's like the swing point is cutting through. Like this time frame right here, these last 2 months, as we say, it is like the average price cutting through. So you have a fair amount of price activity below this line and a fair amount above it. And so it's used as a magnetic price that the market tends to vacillate around. As price gets close to it will attract price. And that's what we saw. You see this longer term trend line in this market, this big blue thick line here. You see these last 2 prices, it hit that and it fell off of that. So that's showing you, yes, look at what we're seeing here. This market, since 2022, actually since October the 26th, since October the 26th of 2021, that's last year, the market for Shiba, ladies and gentlemen, is constantly going down. And down over here, we got a lot of hype trying to revive this coin. What's really going on? So the question I need you to answer for yourself with the evidence of the chart in front of you. Where do you think Shiba is going to go from here? Where do you think it's heading? I mean, since almost from the inception, October 2021, see, the coin sort of launched, looked like it launched in October, what's the date here? September of last year. So it launched in September of last year. This coin is relatively young to have so much hype. And the question becomes, with all of this hype, what is this coin doing for the market? Is this a hype coin or is this a utility coin where people are using this to make good things and there's a lot of companies and businesses and governments banking on this coin, and therefore is this the reason why it supposedly have this future? Or is it just a coin to be hyped so people can make some money on the hype, and then they build another coin and build up the hype? Be careful with these altcoins, because a lot of them are nothing more than somebody creating a coin and then doing everything they can do to fan the fire and try to create hype so that they, the ones who created the coin, can make the real money. So be careful. What is the hype? What is it all about? I would ask you to talk to your prophet and your prophetesses If they come with a prophecy that the market for Shiba is going to rise, you got to ask them some key questions. What is going to be the price that is going to rise from? And what should be the price that I can stay in the market before it turns around? These are key information. You can't just say the market is going to rise, because look at this. Every green bar on this chart is the market rising. So which rise is your prophecy referring to? All of these rises, some are more significant than others. So, hey, if you're given a prophetic word from the Most High who created the heaven and the earth and galaxies and all this complex stuff, certainly the details of the price to get in and the price to get out should not be omitted from your prophecy. Otherwise, I have to question, where is your source, really? Okay? So, what I showed you today is how I look at the charts, because this is what everyone in the market with Shiba has done. You cannot avoid this. This tells you all of the price action for Shiba since Shiba was born back in September of last year. It entered the market with a big splash, splashed all the way up to almost 9,000 units. And then it promptly fell all the way smack back down to the bottom. And then from there, it took, let me see, this right here, September 9th, September 11th. Oh my goodness. All right, so there you go. September 11th, this is your World Trade Center collapsing. Does that sound like something? Somebody playing with the market here? Looks like. And here's your Twin Towers. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just looking at this. So you make it whatever you want to make it. So everybody got a hype. This coin right here looks like it could be something that somebody's playing you with. You got these Twin Towers that happened at September 11th. See down here, September 11th right there. The market rose up and then promptly crashed. Then it started rising again. And then we had another big rise. And now it's constantly falling ever since. Now what we want, now here's the news that everybody wants to hear, but I cannot guarantee this because I don't know what value Shiba has to the market and all these cryptocurrencies. I don't know what Shiba has to offer to cause Shiba to spike and go higher. The only thing I can say to help Shiba is that the whole cryptocurrency market is being poised for next year. And with this Shibarium and all these things coming online, and the fact that we believe that Bitcoin is about ready to take another move upward. So if that happens in the whole market, see, Bitcoin has a tendency of pulling the whole market with it. And so obviously, if it pulls the whole market, Shiba gets to ride on the hem of the market. How far will it rise? We don't know. But the good news that you need to bank on, if you're going to bank on anything with this dying dog, the dog is basically dead. Look at it. 972. Look at these prices. Look at these prices down here. It can't go too much lower than this before it just goes out to zero. You see? Right here is zero. It can't go too much lower than that, but that's the direction it's heading. So, if it rises, the good news is, if the market does hit and Shiba is still breathing, it might be able to rise. If it rises up from like 420, I don't expect it to go down to 420. I expect it to go down to 806. And we're very close to that right now. And so that's where the hype starts to pick up volume and pick up traction, because we're right close to this big long-term support line right here, 751. 751 down in this area right here. It's not the exact price, but in this ballpark area. 700, 800, between there. All right, price falls there. It should find traction, and from there, it may rise up from there. How much, I can't tell you. But the maximum that this thing can possibly go. And who knows how that could happen, but it can happen because we saw in the history that back in October 21st, October the 3rd, which is not that, no, that's last year, but it's not that far ago, long ago, it rose and fell and rose. So if it rises, I'm going to leave you with this piece of information right here. Bring my calculator in to give you the hope that a lot of people seem like they want from Shiba. All right. Let's put it right here. What you said. If the price falls down to the 751 area, 751, and then it rises, where do you expect it to rise? I say this top green line might be the extent to which it's going to rise. If it even, there's got to be something major going on. This blue line would be a stretch. I mean, it's possible because not too long ago, in January of this year, the prices was there. So when we retrace January's activity, it's possible. But based on what? That's the big question. So let's just take a look. If it does rise up to January's high of 35.10, that would mean the price would move 2759 points. Let's divide that by the 751, the starting point. Divide it by, wait a minute. Okay, let's do that all over again. I think I lost track of something. Okay. So let's see here. At this price right here, let's say 35.65, we'll use that. 35.65. Wait a minute, let's clear me. 35.65, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. 35.65, which is January's high point over here. 35.65, somewhere along that year. 35.65, and if it bounces, if it comes from the bottom over here, 751 minus 751. What am I doing wrong here? Clear my screen. Let's go. Clear. All right. 35.65 minus 751. That would be a total of 28.14. Divide that by 751. That's where it would fall down before it starts to rise. So that will be the base point, the base price. 751 rises up to 35.65. And then that would be at 28.14 points. So that means we will be looking at a good potential of, you'll love this one. Multiply this times 100 so you can see the percentage. 375%. So what I'm saying is the maximum that I think could happen, and there's nothing I can tell you why it would do this, other than something that happens that has to. It almost seems to be a supernatural thing, and so we give that space. If people are truly hearing from the Most High, hey, nobody can stop the Most High. Neither can I. Neither can this chart. But why would the Most High do that? Okay, so you answer, whatever you feel comfortable with, you go with it. But I want to show you the chart so you know right now, today, might be a good time to get in because the price went down real low. And so it's still a risk because it can go down another 300 some points. 751 from 1099. That's 348 points. It can go down even further before it hits our scenario where it can then bounce off the bottom of the barrel and start going back up to the high that it saw in January. Up over here, 35.65. January right here. That's February. Where's January? January. Okay, this is January-ish. January-ish. February. February's high. February 8th. 35.65. Okay, so that is what we're looking at. So if there is any hype to be said, if there's any supernatural movement to be happening, I can conceive to the fact that the price can bounce off the bottom and move up to this blue line right here, because today you saw how it moved down to the green line. So it can fluctuate and go back up to this midline right here, and we'll call that a day. When that's going to happen, how long it'll take for that to happen, I cannot tell you a thing along those lines. I don't know what Shiba offers to the market, so I can't tell you anything like that. I'm just looking at the charts and seeing what I know can happen based on the technical analysis. So this is my ultimate technical analysis. Shiba goes to 2909, or let's say 3,000. Shiba rises to 3,000. Not $3,000, not 3 cents, not $3. This is 10, 100, thousands, 100,000, millions, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, 3,000 100,000ths of a cent rise up to that point. So anyway, that's what we're looking at. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I wanted to show you today. So once again, I leave you looking at the Shiba dog and showing you that on the day it is down 7.03%. And it has been falling for quite a long time. Matter of fact, all year and part of last year as well. It started falling October of last year, and it continually is falling today. So if you just want to have hope, go ahead, have hope. But I'm looking at the charts. I gave you an analysis. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully put you in a better position to decide what you want to do. But hey, I will wait. If I get in the market, I will get in the market. If Shiba breaks below this current level, let me make my chart a little bit bigger so we can see a little bit what we're talking about. If Shiba breaks okay, let's come over here again. Spread this back out. All right. If Shiba breaks down to the first blue line, falls to the second, and if somehow it falls to this third line at 940, I would say that's a good reason to get in, with a risk still of a pretty much 940, 740, 200 points as your risk. If it goes to this point, I would get in at 940. You can write that down. Get in at 940. Set your limit order at 940. Set your stop loss. Your stop loss would be at 7, we'll say at 700. Slightly below this line here. Give it a little chance to hit, break through, and bounce back up. 700 is your stop loss. Our take profit point would be 3,000. That's what I have to offer you today, ladies and gentlemen. And so this is me, Migrant the Trader. I'm going to tell you right here. Enter at 940. Take profit at 3,000. And your stop loss will be at 700. That would give you potential profit of 2,060 points compared to a loss of 240 points. That's more than an 8-to-1 win-loss ratio. That's what the best I can offer you today. Take it or leave it. You saw the chart. If you see something more than what I showed you, feel free to add to the comments. I like to see where this discussion goes. In the midst of all of this hype, I just wanted to put your feet back on the ground and show you the reality of where Shiba doll is and where it's been and where it looks like it's going to continue to go for a little while. Bye-bye.